All right, this is going to be my last overview video, I guess, of some of the things that we're going to touch on throughout the rest of just really learning songs is all we're going to do after this. Each song is going to come obviously with the lessons to begin with, our regular routine, and the variations and anything that I may add on there for fun. There's always new things that I can add into your basic daily routine lesson. You know, bending notes, sliding into notes, trills, hammer-ons, pull-offs, all that kind of shit, which just adds the flavor to your tunes. But what we're trying to concentrate on first is just the basics of guitar. And again, we're just wanting your finger dexterity and muscle memory and all that kind of shit happening. So, and we're not going to worry about playing solos or anything like that for a while. That's going to come in time. Number one, you got to get, well, we do, because again, it's been so long, man. It's taken me a while to get back into this. And this time I'm actually trying to learn how to not just play songs by ear and fiddle fuck myself way through them. Kind of want to learn a little bit of the theory behind it so it makes more sense, and which will just make everything easier in the end, obviously. But number one, you really need to, well, we both need to become really good rhythm players. That's really key to everything. Again, metronome, you want a metronome, get one, app or whatever. The more you are playing in time, the better player you're going to be. You want to have a good rhythm. You want to know how to be able to start a song at, 100 beats a minute and end it still at 100 beats a minute, or within 1 or 2 beats kind of thing. Almost any band any old band that actually just played music without click tracks and stuff, a lot of bands now have the drummers play into a click track, so they're perfectly in time all the way through. I don't like it. It's just not as natural to me. I like a song, songs can speed up and slow down. You don't really notice it when a band will be actually playing a song without a click track. You maybe speed up a little bit, slow down a little bit throughout that song, but typically it's only a beat or two a minute. It's not a lot, but it also gives that little bit of natural feel to it, that humans aren't perfect. So to play a song perfect to me is unnatural. It's got to be off a little bit. A little fuck up here, or a little bit of speeding up and slowing down. It just happens. That's part of the live experience of listening to music. So our goal here now is, the basic exercises I've been showing you are going to help you play lead when we get to that, and play solos and shit like that. And it's going to help me do the same thing. But first, it's all about rhythm and time, and being able, because if you have the rhythm and the time, and the rest of your bandmates do, or your guy across the campfire does, it's just going to sound so much tighter, because you're in the pocket, in the groove, right? Playing with, really good timing. You're changing your chords on time. You're hitting on the one beat or whatever it needs to be in the song. But let's just use, one beat is your accent beat on most bars, right? So when you're changing from a D chord to an A chord, typically it's going to happen usually on your your first beat of the measure, your one. Of course, that doesn't mean everything's like that all the time. It's not. You can change a chord on each beat, or you can every second beat you can change a chord, whatever. But it's make sure that you landing on those chords in time is key. So that's why we're going to be going with a lot of these acoustic-based songs to begin with, just so that we can get that rhythm and timing down. So this overview number 3 is basically going to be on that with chords and keys, because everything is related when it comes to that. So I'm going to give you the overview as if we were doing Santa Maria, which is in the key of D. I'll show you the variants if you're in a different key. And I'm going to kind of show you the relationship on keys, chords to keys, and how those, again, shapes on the guitar neck with bar chords. It doesn't work with open chords, but with bar chords, you'll be able to, again, if somebody wants to change the key of a song, you know how to play Mother in the key of G, and somebody says, hey, I want to play Mother in the key of A. You'll be able to look at your guitar and say, okay, those chords are now these chords in that to change the key. And I'll show you how to do that, because I do it using the bar chords, because that's the easiest way to figure out which chords are which, in which key. I know that sounds really confusing, because it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. You'll see once I pick up the guitar here, and I'll show you how that's relative, in there. But really, when we get into an actual lesson on the song, again, I'm going to be showing you your basic lessons, starting with your finger notes, your names of the notes on the strings, and we'll be going through the strings as we go along. But right now, again, we're still learning those first 2 strings. So you'll do your finger exercise, we'll do your notes on the neck, we'll do a scale. First few songs until you're comfortable with that particular shape of a scale. When you're ready, let me know, and I'll add the next one in for each new song that we're playing. I can continue with the same basic routine, practice routine, or I'll change them up as you feel you've got them down, and I feel like I've got them down. So chords are, practicing chords really anytime. I was sitting down there a couple nights ago. I didn't feel like picking up the guitar, but I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna force myself to it. So I went and grabbed it, came outside, turned a video on of just whatever I was watching, probably a freaking 4x4 one or an Oilers podcast or whatever it was. Holy fuck, this fucking coming to get me. Good thing they keep going by the house. Where was I? Oh yeah, so I ended up just picking the guitar up. I brought it out, and I just kind of did those exercises that I've already showed you, and watched my video at the same time. So I was just trying to let my fingers, do this while I'm watching something else, which is really good, because once you get, again, if you want to be able to sing or while you're playing, you have to be able to just play without thinking it. So if you can watch a TV show and do this, and think about something else but still do this, that's your muscle memory coming into play, and get, anyway. So yeah, so I was out there, then I just did some chord changes, and just played around, and I just did that I probably sat there for 20 minutes just strumming through different chords and different scales and different finger exercises. Just nothing was really planned, just let them do it. And so my fingers are still just, that memory is just getting better and better as I do that. So I suggest you do that as much as you possibly can. So anyway, let's start this quick overview. First of all, like the chords, they're going to be relative with keys. So in music, there is 12 keys, 12 major keys. 7 of those are I'll do the key of C, because the key of C has no sharps, no flats. Every other key has A sharp or 2 sharps or whatever, flats, whatever, 1, 2, 3, or 4 flats. So it doesn't matter. There's a certain amount for each key, which you'll kind of see, because I'll send you a chord chart also. The chord chart's going to show you the chords are in each particular key. So the chord chart will show on the left side all the keys. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, those will be your 7 keys. Now to make that 12, you have your flats and your sharps, right? So, which ends up being 12, just like the number of notes. That's how many major keys you would have. You know, you got your E key, F key, F sharp, G key, G sharp, A. You know, again, those are just your starting chords on each key. There's 12 altogether. And then there's probably another 12, I guess, for the minor keys. But don't let that sound overwhelming, because it's not really that overwhelming. I'll show you why. And I'm going to show you with Santa Maria. I'll show you how the chords in the key, where they would be on the neck, using bar chords. But I guess if we're going to do that, we got to really start off with the bar chords. Now I'm going to show you four bar chord shapes, and what that's going to be is a major and a minor shape on your E string, and a major and minor shape on your A string. Again, that's why you're learning all those notes, so you know where you're at. So Santa Maria is in the key of D. So again, we're D, right? So your four chord shapes are going to be based off of your E minor chord, which is open E, fretting the A string on the 2nd fret, the D string on the 2nd fret. Now you can play it multiple different ways, different fingerings, you can make it however you decide, but in the end you're going to learn all these open chords, especially the open chords. You're going to learn different fingerings for each one, because it matters when you're changing, depending on what key you're in and what chords you're going from and to. Now it kind of sounds weird, but let's use G as an example. So if you're going to be going, you got this basic G chord, which is, you know, your 3rd fret E, 2nd fret A, then open all the way to the bottom, and then your 3rd fret on your high E, right? So if we played like that, it can also be played with this finger off, but your middle finger here is actually kind of muting that 5th, that A string, because you don't play it when you play it this way. So it's just like that. So you get that way. You're also going to want to learn how to play a G chord in this way, using your whatever finger that is on the 3rd, again muting the A, and then your middle finger down here. What's the advantage to that? Well, let's say you're going from G to C. So G, C. Nice easy change. But if you're playing it this way, this shape of G, it's a way bigger hand movement to do your changes. So you will over time start learning this shit. But anyway, we're not quite doing that yet, but realize that is going to be one way to make your guitar playing easier, is learning chords in multiple fingerings. Same with your E minor. I mean, you can play it like this, you can play it like this, you can play it like this, whichever fingers you happen to want to. Typically when you're playing open, your E minor is going to be played with these two, your middle and your index. I guess that's an index finger, right? Now that's the way I would learn it This other way is also another awesome way of doing it with your index and your pinky. When you play this E minor chord, and you want to play it as a bar chord, a movable bar chord, that's an E, right? Moving up to there and barring that first fret, it now becomes an F minor. So E minor, F minor, F sharp minor, G minor, G sharp minor, A minor, right? A minor, A minor, same chord. So as you see, it's going up with your notes on your 5th string. So you got your, that's the fingers you want to use for that. If you're going to get into bar chords. So with the minor bar chords on the 6th string, you're going to be using that fingering. So it's easy to move, right? Makes sense. So that's one shape on the 6th string, the minor. So you also need to know the major. Now the major again is just your E chord. So typically you're going to learn your E chord like that. When you're playing open, that's typically how you're going to play an E chord. In a bar chord, it's a different fingering because you need that finger for the bar. So we're going to change that. So it's just like your E minor shape. You're just going to add your middle finger down there to make the E chord, right? On your, I guess that's your G, first fret in your G string, right? So you got open, 2nd fret in your A, 2nd fret in your D, 1st fret on your G, right? That's your E chord. So again, if you're going to move that up the neck, you got E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E again, right? So now keep in mind, when we go to the A string, we're going to have a major and minor based off the A chord and the A minor chord, which is this exact, well, not quite totally the opposite, but again, if you're going to go with your minor, you're going to play instead of playing your A minor like you would normally play it, open A, 2nd fret on your D, 2nd fret on your G, 1st fret on your B, right? That's your A minor. You're going to use that same fingering you would on the E, but just move it up here and using your 5th string down. So you're just using those 5 strings. That becomes an A minor, right? Still, same A minor. But now it's movable again. A minor, A sharp minor, B minor, C minor, C sharp minor, D minor, D sharp minor, E minor, F minor, F sharp minor, G minor, G sharp minor, and back to A again, A minor. So that's your shape for your minor chords on the 5th string. Starting on the 5th string, on your major chords, it's your A shape. Now, I just use this finger to hold down the 3 strings that you would normally have in your A chord, like that. Like I would play my A chord like this. I know there's multiple different ways of playing the A chord also. Typically, you're taught to play like this. Your middle finger on your 2nd fret on your D string, your index on the 2nd on your G, and then your pinky on the B string 2nd fret, right? Now that, I don't know very many people that actually play it like that. Very much a classical thing. Classical guitarists have a slightly wider neck, which makes it a little easier to finger that. But that's a tough way to play it. I typically will play it with this finger holding down the 2nd fret on the D and the G, and this finger just closing that B up on the 2nd fret. right? Now, if I'm playing anything with an open thing, Santa Maria as an A unit, that's how I'm going to play it, is like that. Now, when you get to bar chords, I'm just kind of laying my index finger over those 3 fretted ones, just like that. So your E, my E is sometimes a little clunky, but it doesn't really matter for the most part because you don't usually play that. And once you get better at it, it'll work, you know, you can. So you can hear that E open ring out because I can play it that way. But anyways, same thing. A shape, right? Open. A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. Again, just runs all the way up to the neck. So that's your major, your minor chords on the E and the A strings. And you can play almost anything knowing those 4 shapes. Okay. Now I'm going to talking about keys. So I really start practicing those because that's going to be something you really need to do. You can hear them ringing all those out, but in rock music, you don't usually hear that. They usually only play just a few of the top 2-3 strings. But you play the whole shape, and you'll get better at it as time goes on. Anyway, regardless. So getting into keys. So, and again, I'm going to send you that chord chart, so you can see what I mean when I'm talking about this, how it works. But so on that chart, you'll see on the left-hand side will be the key, the name of the key. Along the top, you'll see some Roman numerals: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That again is where you'll hear me say 1 chord. Okay, well, the 1 chord is going to be under the Roman numeral, dissect into the key, 1 chord. So when the key is C, your 1 chord is going to be C. In the key of E, your 1 chord is going to be E. In B, it's going to be B. You get to D, it's still the same thing. Your first chord is D. Okay. Now, if you look at your chart, what you have is there's 7. There's 7 of them. Your 7th one is diminished, rarely used. So you'll have 3 major and 3 minor chords, and 1 diminished chord in every key. The diminished chord is just rarely used in anything that we do, but the other ones are definitely used a lot. So in the key of D, and I'm going to use a bar chord for this because I want you to see what I'm doing here, the shape, and this is how you can actually change keys by looking at the guitar. So in the key of D, your 1 chord is D. See, that's an E shape, and 10th fret D. Your 2 chord is an E minor, which is your E minor shape, right? You take that finger off, move it up 2 frets. So you got your D, E minor, then up 2 frets again is F minor. So D major, E minor, F sharp minor. So see how you're moving up there? Note, skip 1, note, skip 1, note. Now the other 3 that we're going to deal with, we're going to start on the 5th string. So I'll start again. On your 6th string, it's D, E minor, F sharp minor, and your 4th is a G. Your D starts here because you know these notes again. D is up here, G is the one below it, right? But you're using your A shape because it's a major chord, G. So you have G, then up 2, which is an A, 12th fret, A, right? Open A, 12th fret, A. Okay, and then your 6th chord out of those is going to be a B minor. It's your E shape on the 5th fret, A minor shape. Right? Again, that's the same. So basically, if I was to change this to how do I do that? Okay, so each one is on the same fret. There, and there. Right? So you actually got chord, 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 chord. So if you notice, they're all like that, right? Starting on the E, starting on the A. Now, if you wanted to change this from the key of D to the key of A, you just move down to your A, right? So again, it would be the same thing. A chord there, skip a fret, chord there, skip a fret, chord there, go to the A string, skip a fret, next one, skip a fret, next one, right? I hope that kind of makes sense. So in G, your chords would be, in D, it'd be D, E minor, F sharp minor, G, A, B minor. To go into A, you're going to be A, B, A, B minor, C sharp minor, D, E, and F sharp minor. F sharp minor. So A, B, A major, B minor, C minor, D, E, F sharp minor. So when you see that's just the way of saying that, doesn't matter where you're at, you're still going to have the same amount of spaces between each chord. Doesn't matter what key you're in. Key of G, it's the same thing. G, A, B, C, D, and E. So you're skipping those frets for each string. Hope that makes sense. So that's kind of how you'd be able to switch. But we're going to concentrate in the key of D because that's what Santa Maria is in. And this may be what I would practice at this point is like just kind of look at those chords that are in D. D, E minor, F sharp minor. And we can play them down here because we want to learn how to play these in open also. Same thing here, instead of D, E minor, F sharp minor, you're going to go D, E minor, F sharp minor, right? So between anything that's on the bar chord will work on the open chords. It's just easier to figure out how to change keys if you kind of look at them as a bar chord to figure out how to change keys. It's still probably too confusing to really, it is what it is. But so it basically, after we've done our first 4 minutes of your routine practice, after that, I think you should probably spend, I would say another, 5 minutes, just playing between the chords that are in the key we're learning. And in this particular case, it's going to be D, so you're going to want to learn how to play the D, the E minor, the F sharp minor, the G, the A, and the B minor. Again, we're not going to worry about that diminished chord for now. If we were, it's actually a C sharp diminished chord, just for your info. But you'll see that in your chord chart. Yeah, just so spend 5 minutes. Just go in between, just take a look at your chart and just go between all the chords that are on that chord chart and do them in different orders so that you get used to playing from A to G, A to E minor, A to D, G to A, G to D, G to E minor, throw B minor in there. That's how that's how your fingers are just gonna get that natural muscle memory, and it'll be second nature to you. So you go ahead and get proficient at that. I'll wait. Okay. It's a good thing you're a fast learner. Look, every time I smoke so much around you, I don't know what it is, buddy. You're gonna fucking kill me. No. I guess it's because I'm kind of having fun. I'm having fun trying to figure out how I'm going to teach you. That's probably what these overview things are mostly. Me trying to figure out how I'm going to teach you all this shit, since I don't know most of it myself. But again, I'm just going to practice along with you. And I think once we get into learning songs themselves, oh yeah, I was going to say before that, after you've spent your 5 minutes just doing chord changes, then spend the next 10 minutes or so learning the song that you're learning at this time. And again, I'm only showing you for what would be considered a half-hour lesson. You're more than welcome. You probably should extend those times more. Spend a couple minutes doing the finger exercise, a couple of minutes doing the pentatonic, 20 minutes doing chord changes. Whatever, do it however you want. But the last 10 minutes, I think, or at least, you want to start learning a song, just to make it interesting, because it's boring just to fucking play without anything sounding like a song. So spend the last bit just learning your song. And again, I would suggest, especially at the beginning of learning songs, learn them in parts. Typically you're going to have an intro, which may be the same as a different part of the song. A lot of times intros are the same as verses. A lot of times an intro is one and the verse is different, but the chorus is the same as the intro, or whatever. I mean, things change up. You do what you want in music. So it is what it is. But just, Santa Maria, the intro is just a D chord. It's not going to take you long to do that. We'll kind of get that down, how you're going to play it. And then go on to the verse. And the verse is going to take you a little longer because, you got more chord changes in there. And not that many. There's, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 chords in the verse, and get that down. Figure that out. So then you're going to be able to go in there. And the next lesson, you're going to be able to do your exercises, and then continue on learning the song. But you can play the intro and the verse. Intro and the verse. Play it a couple times, so you're getting more and more fluent in it for a few minutes, and then go and learn the chorus. Spend another 5-10 minutes just going through the chord changes on the chorus. And then next time you come back to it, you're going to want to play the intro, the verse, and the chorus. Typically, a song will either have another part that is either a bridge or a middle eighth. There's different things for it, different names depending who you are. Older people tend to call them the middle eight, because in the old days songs were very formulas and they were only 3 minutes long, and vocals had to start before 30 seconds, and you couldn't have an extended solo because people would lose interest, so 8 bars was your solo kind of thing. Some songs forego the solo and will have a bridge, and the bridge will be just something. It's usually using the same chords, but probably in a different order. It just gives a little more interesting spot to the song. We'll get to one of those eventually. I'm not sure if Mother has. I'll have to check Mother. It might. No, I don't think so. It doesn't. But it does have a different, a slight variation to the chords in the solo. So you can consider that's how a bridge would be slightly different than the rest of the song. Same chords, different orders or whatever, but you'll get that as we go. So I just learn each section kind of separately and then start putting them together. And once you got them together, so let's say you get Santa Maria together, and then you're going to move on to Mother. I think at this stage we're going to do both at the same time, but as we get better and better at this and I start showing you songs, I'm going to show you a song and then just get better at it, then I'm going to go to the next song. But every time you're learning a new song, when we get to that point, we're just learning songs and not as much theory and stuff. You're going to want to play your set. So like usually when I begin practicing, if it's an actual kind of practice that I'm forcing myself to do, unlike sitting around watching TV and noodling around, I start my rehearsal as whatever songs I know. So if I know right now I've got a set that I've got about 6 songs in that I'm fairly decent at, so I'll start my rehearsal off just doing my finger exercise, and then I'll play my songs. I'll just play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just playing one after another. I just listen to them. I just turn on my iTunes or whatever and just got a playlist there, and they just go one after another, and I just play through them. And then I start learning something new, and I'll add that to it and do the same thing. You kind of want to do that till you get, depends how much time you really want to set aside, and once you get into it, you might want to set more time aside to do it. I'd find that an hour is probably the best, to have at least an hour practice once you've got some songs under your belt. So I'll play maybe a set, to go play a set in the bar or a party or whatever. A set's typically about 45 minutes long. So once I get down to a full set, I'll just literally play a 45-minute set and then start learning another song. And even if that's only spending 15 minutes or maybe half an hour learning that new song, then I'll start doing the same thing. Next rehearsals, as I add more and more songs into it, I'm going to start changing my playlist so that I can just put them in different orders and shit like that. And if I had 2 sets of songs done, and I know 2 sets of songs, one practice I'm going to do 1 set, learn a new song. The next practice I'm going to do the other set, continue learning that song I was learning until I get it into my set and keep adding them on. But you never want to stop playing the songs because you don't necessarily really forget them. I mean, I can forget a song, but to learn it again is very easy because it'll come back quick. Makes sense. So I guess that's probably about that. It's probably about it for my last overview of what you're going to get. So the next video you're going to get from me after this one is going to be an actual rehearsal. I'll show you your exercises to do, and then I'll start teaching you. I'll put all the parts in for Santa Maria and basically tell you how to break down learning them. And with Mother, I'm going to probably send that to you relatively the same time, so you can kind of learn both at the same time if you want, or just get one down and go to the other one, whatever you want. I mean, that's supposed to be fun. This is up to you, right? Do what you want to do. But when I send you the mother video, I will put a variation to the exercises at the beginning of the song. So as you're learning those 2 songs, I would just refer to my video and just watch it, and you can play along with me with what I'm doing or whatever. The other nice thing about YouTube is you can go into the settings and you can slow a song down. I might have mentioned this already, I don't know. I've got about 25 hours of fucking video trying to do this overview. Well, maybe not that much, but you know what I mean. I forgot what I was going to say, so it doesn't really fucking matter because I got off track. And that's just the way it is for me. But yeah, I'll definitely put some variations in there for you, just so you have, so it's a little more interesting. And you'll kind of see what I'm doing, and pretty soon I'm not going to be showing you, I think maybe after the first few songs, maybe the first 4 or 5 songs that I teach you, I won't start giving you your basic routine at the beginning of the videos. You just go ahead and do them, do your variations. If you want to learn something new, I'll show something new, whether that be a hammer-on, pull-offs, or trills, or slides, or whatever else that's going to be added to that, just to your whole bag of tricks, so you get to be Greg/Bennett. But anyway, I think we're another fucking 40-some minute video here. You're probably sick and tired of these long ones. So from now on, you're just going to get shorter versions. I don't think it'll take much more than probably 15-minute video to show you a song, for the most part. Because again, we're just learning rhythms and chords. Until you tell me, hey man, I'm done fucking learning more chords and rhythm. I've got it down pretty good. Then we'll start showing how to do small, solos and that kind of thing. How to do just jamming, off the top of your head, just making your own shit up. And if you want, we can, and I think we should, I'd love to start doing some FaceTime once we get a few songs down, where we can actually, I'll play Santa Maria with you, play Mother with you, hey, we'll just play them on FaceTime, and I can show you different shit that way too. But I would definitely want to do them as videos, just so that you have that and you can refer to them whenever you want, and go back to them. So keep on chugging, man, because if the more you chug, the more guitars you're going to win. Over and out.